The Yamaha MT-09 has been with us now for a decade and understandably has gained quite a cult following. But does the new 2024 model merely just extend that legacy, or does it enhance it even further? Let's find out. In that decade, Yamaha have sold almost 100,000 MT-09s through Europe. That's half of all of the MT-09s produced worldwide. So to say that this is a success is a little bit of an understatement. The original concept was for a motard roadster hybrid, which over the bike's lifespan has morphed more towards a roadster bias. Of course, not that I want to pop it into a pigeonhole, for the MT-09 has always been a fun, fast, torque-laden, agile motorcycle, and it's continued that all the way through its lineage. At the heart of the MT-09 has always been this fantastic 3-cylinder engine, which has evolved over that last 10 years and has now undergone a few more changes to make sure it's future-proofed for the EU5 Plus period moving on. A lot of that has come through tweaks in the tuning, but for example, the gear wheels have gained more teeth to smooth the shifts, and it has been fitted with the latest 3rd gen quick shifter, which allows the addition of downshifting on acceleration and upshifting on deceleration with a larger operating window, and it works flawlessly.
And the quick shifter has been absolutely sublime. Just a little nick and it slips it into gear. No lumpy clonks or anything like that. Does exactly what you'd expect it to do. I've been really impressed with that. And downshifts as well. Look at that. Lovely.
The intake layer has gone from 3 to 2 primary intakes, and these acoustic sound grills directly channel the induction roar right at the rider. At higher revs, the sound is absolutely intoxicating.
And you've got a real bellow out of that. That's good, I like it. I think that's a good idea. You've got to be on it to get it to make that noise, but it is beautiful, and I can imagine. Oh, I really do like this engine. This coming from somebody who has said in the past they don't really like triples. This is an absolute peach.
Ergonomically, there's been a change too. There is now a slightly further forward rider weight bias, with the bars being 34mm lower and 1.5mm closer to the rider. The foot pegs are 9.5mm higher and 30.5mm further back too. It's a subtle change, but it's one that you will definitely notice if you are coming from the previous model.
You've got quite a broad seat at the back, narrow at the front, but it pitches you into a nice comfortable position. You've got a little bit of weight on your wrists, not very much at all. You've got that kind of slightly forward position, nice aggressive with your elbows. The bars are nice and close to you. That's super comfortable in terms of a riding position, for certainly when you're pushing on. I've ridden this for probably the longest stint was riding it back from Yamaha in Woking, and it took me about 3 hours. After that I was starting to feel it in the old seat, and it was getting a little bit painful. I was getting a little bit fidgety, but again, that's me just getting used to that riding position. But everything else in terms of ergonomics is great.
The 41mm KYB forks remain, but the spring rate has been increased by 1 Nm from 14 to 15 with increased damping force. But the rear shock has seen a slight decrease in damping force.
The one thing I will say straight off the bat about the suspension, it is pretty firm, set up to be relatively sporty, and on roads like this is why I've come down here. Country lanes like this, when they start to get a bit washboardy, it can feel a little bit firm. is the best way to describe it. It's not crashy, it's not harsh, it is firm. It doesn't really seem to get unsettled. It does a pretty good job of suspending you, but you know, it's not the most sophisticated of suspension setups. So yeah, suspension pretty firm, but does it bother me? No. Would it mean I wouldn't buy this bike? No. Out of the box, no real problems for me. The handling though is just on another level. It's so light, it's so nimble. You can just tip it in and it holds the line perfectly. Super manoeuvrable, this bike.
There's a new 16mm Brembo radial master cylinder which applies pressure to the unchanged twin 4-piston radial calipers.
Oh, brakes are brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But you've got a nice feel as well. 2-finger braking, 1-finger braking, doesn't matter. Not blocky at all, sharp, firm, but progressive.
There's a new 2-piece seat which is also 12mm narrower to make getting your feet down easier, and it sits at 825mm high as it did before, so no change there. Another very obvious difference is the change in this headlight. The twin projector headlamp sits neatly at the top with a daytime running light on each side underneath. It's more Iron Man than Transformer with this bike, which I have to say I prefer. I think the front end is much neater now. Obviously the other big change for 2024 is this new TFT dash. It's simple, clear, and a massive improvement I think on the outgoing LCD offering. From here it's easy to access the 7 6-axis IMU controlled rider aids, throttle map, traction control, rear wheel slide, wheelie control, cornering ABS, quick shifter and back slip regulator. Each of the 5 riding modes has a different and appropriate setting and include 2 custom settings for your own personal preferences. All are controlled through new switches, the one on the left being particularly intuitive. It's also where you'll find the cruise control, which comes as standard, and the new rocker switch turn signal button.
Switch it to the left, and again to switch it off, to the right to switch it off. The cruise control button, one little press of that, cruise control is on, then you just set it and then you can up and down for everything else you need.
You have 4 display themes that you can change to as well to suit your own preferences, and there's also built-in full screen navigation using the Yamaha My Ride and Garmin Street Cross apps.
Yeah, there we go, navigation, bing, let's connect to, oh, there we go. So it's showing where I am. I'm on the B1054, just gone past Queen Edith Drive. It's even showing me the temperature at my current location. And again, very easy to switch that off. You want to go back to the meter display, there you go.
I think it's a very purposeful looking bike, and it is an absolute joy to ride. Agile, responsive and fast, but equally it's very relaxed and easy to ride around town. It's a bike that just loves to be revved, but it's not a one-trick pony. It's there when you need it, but it's as smooth as silk when you don't.
Oh, then you can see why this bike has got a cult following. I always said that the XSR 900 would probably be the one that I picked because I kind of like that retro styling. I'm not entirely sure if that's the case now. It is just an awesome naked bike.
It's available in 3 colours, this midnight cyan, you've also got the icon blue and the tech black, and it retails at £10,106, so just a shade over 10 grand, but you get a hell of a lot of bike and one hell of a bike for your money. So has this bike pushed on the MT-09 experience? Undoubtedly. Has it done it at any cost to the bike's cult status? Definitely not. It continues the ethos of the MT-09, but in a slicker, neater, slightly more advanced form. Yamaha have again hit the nail on the head. It's an overwhelmingly positive review of this bike from me, with the only negatives that I can put forward are the firm suspension and the slightly snatchy clutch in first gear pullaways. The only other thing I'm not that keen on is this collector box exhaust, which just looks a little bit scruffy. But these are very minor, and obviously that first one is just really my own personal preference.
It's hard not to like this bike. The styling may be what's put some people off. The blue wheels on this put me off a little bit, but you know, the riding position is good, the performance is astounding, it does everything well. The TFT, now we've got that instead of that funny little LCD display that we had in the past. That's a big step up.
If you've owned and loved any of the previous MT-09s, then jumping on this will be like putting on your most comfortable pair of well-worn in shoes. But it will just feel like they've had a resole and maybe a new set of laces. If you've not ridden one, then what the hell are you waiting for? Get your butt down to your nearest Yamaha dealer and take one out for a test ride. If you like this sort of bike, you will not regret it.
Actually, if you do go out and test ride this new model and you've not ridden the MT-09 before, I'd quite like to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. So the MT-09 legacy lives on. Is this the best iteration of the MT-09? Personally, I think it is, but to be honest, any of the MT-09s that you buy, you are going to love riding. You're going to have so much fun on it. This is definitely worthy of that legendary MT-09 name. And it's hard to see where Yamaha can go with this in terms of taking it further. It's got all you'd want from a naked bike and a bit more. The problem I have is I don't think I could trust myself with one of these. My riding is becoming more pedestrian every year I get older. This certainly awakens something in you. But I'm not sure my my driving license would like it.
So if you've got any questions about the bike, if there's anything that I've missed or anything you'd like to know, then drop those in the comment section down below and I'll come back to you as soon as I can. And all that leaves me to say is until next time, thanks for watching, take care, ride safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.